John, patient number 2, testimonial, take 1, part 1. Part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, part 7.
Yes. Hi, my name's John. I'm from Kent in the UK, and this is what I used to look like before my hair transplant. It's pretty obscuring my face a little bit there.
How long ago was that taken?
This photo, about 8 years ago.
And what are the first few thoughts that come to mind when you see yourself there?
How different it is for me to actually have hair as opposed to when I was severely receded.
And could you elaborate a little bit more, like on the personality side, maybe?
I certainly do believe that I was less approachable, looking more thuggish or like a doorman. It gives an air of authority, if not aggression, from just an outward look. I don't think I was as approachable as I am now with hair when I actually was bald, and that's one thing I did actually notice. One of the reasons why I went for a hair transplant.
Was there any particular moment that you want to tell us about, like when you were, let's say, bald?
Yeah, I was in a shop once, and I was picking up some beer or something like that in the evening after finishing work, and as I approached the counter to pay for the beer, the lady reacted to me and was like, she sort of like was quite startled by me, and I said to her, "What's up?" And she said, "Please don't hurt me." I was like, "I would never hurt you. I would never do anything like that." But she was scared of my appearance, which actually led me to think that maybe I need to soften up my image and make myself a bit more presentable.
Can you tell us a little bit about when it first started, when you started noticing like your hair thinning?
In my sort of mid to late 20s, one of my friends, so-called friends, actually pointed out that my hair was thinning. I knew it was going to happen. My father was severely balding and thinned out on top, and so his father as well. I kind of realised that I'd inherited my father's traits of hair. My mum's side was slightly receded, but still thick hair, but unfortunately it wasn't to be for me. It was just, I was going my father's way. I knew it was going to happen. I knew that at some stage I would go almost completely bald on top and just have the hair around the sides and the back of the head. I never even considered a hair transplant because it was something that only famous people and rich people entered into, and there wasn't any sort of publicising of getting it done in a more economical and inexpensive way, like going with a company into Turkey. And as I got older, I shaved my head, because the hair was just getting patchy, and quite frankly I didn't like the look of having a patchy head, and I certainly would not have a comb over. I would not go down them routes. Props to you if you do have a comb over. If you're happy with it, fine. Not the route I wanted to take. So eventually I just blitzed all the hair off and just went bald for about 10 years. But then of late, recently, 3 or 4 years ago, I started getting tired and bored of just shaving my head and just being a bald-headed thug, looking maybe doorman sort of thing. So what I'd done was I started looking into possible ways to restore or get my hair to an acceptable level to my own satisfaction. But I tried finasteride. It didn't work out for me. I wasn't compatible. I wasn't agreeable to the drug. Tried minoxidil. I had not particularly great results, probably 5 or 10% recovery maybe, not even that. But then I just bit the bullet and thought, let's see how much a hair transplant is.
So you started telling me about some of the hair products, or hair treatment products, like finasteride.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a little bit how they affected you, how long you tried to use them?
Well, I tried finasteride first because it's a pill you can take, which is very much easy to do. Just introduce it to your morning routine, pop the pill and get on with your day. I think it's 1 milligram a day. I did an online consultancy because you can buy it over the counter in the UK. So I got it from Boots online. I spent £260 roughly on a year's supply. I thought if I'm going to go do it, there's no point in getting 1 week's supply, and I'll just go for a whole year. I thought, the side effects probably won't affect me. Started taking it, and within the first 10 days I had acute insomnia, so I was only getting about 20 minutes sleep a night, and if I did fall asleep I'd wake up within 5 minutes. I was literally pulling out whatever hair I had left as a result of the frustration I was experiencing from taking the drug. So I ceased it and I stopped taking it entirely. I ended up sending it to a friend of mine who also suffers with hair loss. He's managed to take it and not have any side effects, the lucky so-and-so. So after that I tried minoxidil. So I bought a 3-month supply, which I think cost something in the region of £60 online. It's a topical spray you'd spray on your head and then massage it and leave it. Do it on a daily basis, and I found that I really didn't have anywhere near the results that I was hoping for. And I was thinking if I spend a couple of years doing this, I might get some result, but I don't think it'd be anywhere near what I actually do kind of want out of a hair restoration. I was aware of hair transplants, but I'd never actually put much effort into actually finding a company. But I looked online, and Elite Hair was very highly rated on TripAdvisor, like above 4.5 rating with like 4,000 to 5,000 reviews. So naturally you go into it and you look at the good reviews, you look at the bad and so forth, and quite frankly it actually looked like there's a good bunch of lads. So I started making an inquiry and left my phone number on the website, and someone from Germany called me and started to run me through the process and give me an indication of roughly what it may cost. So they gave me a price. They said they could fit me in very swiftly, provided I get my flights organised. And once I got the flights, they booked me in and they said, just come over, get sorted out. I had to pay a deposit the first time round and paid a deposit there and then, and just went to Turkey and had a hair transplant. As simple as that. It's not a complicated procedure. The only thing is maybe like going to a foreign country. Some people might feel as if like you don't know the place, maybe anxiety about it. But I'll be honest with you, you could probably actually do this entire procedure blindfold. You get on the plane, you land in either SOR or IST, and then you're picked up by a taxi. You find the guy with the Elite Hair sign, talk to him in English, German or even Turkish, I think it may be. And they get the VIP taxi turn up. In you go. There's drinks and snacks there, and they take you to the clinic. They start the procedure.
Just back to the one moment that you realised that you need to go for the transplant. So if you could recall like one of the stories again, or something.
I mean, I was just fed up with being bald. That was the main thing. I just kind of. It's almost like I woke up one day and was like, I'm fed up being bald. No one would choose to be bald. No one would choose to recede. I reckon if you surveyed 100,000 people, who would actually want to be bald? I don't think you'd find one. Because let's say, for example, if everyone wasn't follically challenged, you could shave your head off and be bald, and then you get fed up with that and let it grow back. But if you don't have the option, because the hair's falling out, even against your wishes, or I don't know, then you get to the point whereby, like me, I was fed up with being bald, and I had an option. I had some money, and I had an option to sort this out, to rectify the damage done by DHT. Has that answered it?
And can you tell me about the time period between when you started to look into hair transplants and when you actually went through like that little research phase?
It was around about October 2 years ago, so 23 months ago, when I really started to look into it. And I looked into the cost of hair transplants just roughly, and Google come back with a result of like £3,500 to £4,000, like in Turkey, and like about £10,000 in the UK. But that wasn't specific to Elite Hair, that was just a rough guide. So I thought, well, £3,000 versus 250 quid for the finasteride. I thought, well, I'll try that and try this, and then if it doesn't work, then I'll bite the bullet and just go into the hair transplant. So I, as I said, I tried the drugs and the treatments, the topical things and whatnot, and I really wasn't taken aback. After about 3 months of minoxidil, come up to like just after Christmas, I sort of bite the bullet and just ring them back up, get a price, and go. I was just like, sod it, now or never, get on with it. So I did.
What what was your biggest concern about the treatment before you went for it?
I must admit, I didn't actually really have much concern about the treatment, the process, or even the flight over. I'd consulted with an old friend of mine who's Turkish and said to him, what's Istanbul like? And he said, cosmopolitan city, it's very modern, it's just like any other like capital city like London or maybe like Berlin. And he's reassured me that there's no real risk to go there. I mean, flights, I went with British Airways, which have almost an impeccable record. So statistically, the most probably like worrisome part of the entire thing was the drive to the airport. Statistically, that's the highest chance of having an injury rather than flying or so forth. But I had heard bad stories about failed hair transplants, which resulted in necrosis, so the skin dying and maybe excessive bleeding or just really bad result at the end of it. But that's why I avoided the cheaper options that are actually available. Plus with the fact that it's the largest clinic in mainland Europe, that's kind of reassuring that if they can afford a premises like that and they've been around for quite a few years, they must know what they're doing, because otherwise people wouldn't use them. That I found reassuring, is the size of the company.
And one of the other things you told me about when you were researching the reviews was how Germans are very honest, and how that's kind of also how you base like the reviews are like, if it's good enough for Germans, then it's probably good.
Would you like me to elaborate on it?
Yeah.
So anyway, as I was looking through the reviews on for Elite Hair, I did notice there's quite a few reviews in German, which I quite promptly translated into English. And they're very forthright, they're very honest people. And it sort of reassured me about the company, the fact that if they're going to have a problem with it, they won't hold back. They're just going to say as it is. I kind of like that. I told my immediate family, my mother and father at the time. My sister found out in due course about 4 days after I'd made a decision to go, and I actually paid the money, the deposit and the flights. My dad was concerned that he'd heard about people going to Turkey and having hair transplants and then having to have their teeth out, but I don't think he quite understood, or maybe he was being silly. I don't know.
Can you actually tell me about your 2 hair transplants? Maybe where the first one was, the second one was, and you can kind of show the camera if you like.
The first hair transplant was the front part of my scalp. So I've got a hairline here, and it goes to about, roughly about here. So this part was the first hair transplant, which was done about 18 months ago. And the second transplant is on the crown. It's like a teardrop shape from round the back here, where the hair is thicker. They've built it into there. That's still got another year of development to actually come to its full thickness. But the front hair transplant is, when you go reach about the 12-month mark, it is full thickness, which I've already established. So I'm very pleased with both hair transplants so far, because it looks like it's thickening up quite a lot on the back as well. And I'm actually getting to the point whereby I say to people I've had a hair transplant, and they go, oh, you don't need one, you've got plenty of hair. They either misinterpret what I say, or they say, hang about, you're joking? You've actually had a hair transplant? Because it's not obvious that I've actually had my hair transplanted. It's not glaringly obvious, unless I tell them.
And when you arrived at the clinic, what was your first impression?
When I first arrived in the clinic, the thing that really struck me was how clean the place was. This place is huge. It's like, I'm not sure how many stories it is. It's well above like 10, or I never actually counted how many stories there are, but it's a flipping big building. Absolutely clean throughout. That's one thing that reassured me once I got in there, is it smells clean, it looks clean, and the whole place is clean as constantly in and out, sweeping up, going round, and the place is impeccable, at least in my eyes. And that really reassured me as well, like with the cleanliness, just means that I think I'm going to get a good product out of it.
And did you experience pain during the procedure? Or how did you break that experience?
I mean, if I want to joke about it, the only painful thing really was paying for it. But other than that, I mean, you have a small prick goes in your arm for they did a deep sleep process, which I thoroughly recommend. They put you under with a sedative, and while you're sedated, only for 15 minutes, they do all the local anaesthetic injections, which otherwise would be, they're the needles. They're going to cause a small amount of pain, but by doing the deep sleep method, it don't feel it. There's no pain after either as well.
And could you tell me about the process after you actually had the hair transplant and what it was like with the team? Did you use the app?
After the hair transplant and immediately after in the actual clinic, they wash your head for the first time, and then they package you up, sort out all your bandages and so forth, and then they will guide you through how to care for your treatment and the donor area. You're given shampoo and moisturiser to treat the area, and because it's very gentle shampoo, you don't want anything aggressive. They give you warnings of what to do and what not to do. Stay away from UV light, stay away from excessive cold, excessive heat. That's one of the reasons why I got it done in January, is because it's a perfect time of year. Low dust, low heat, low UV, and it's easier to regulate your temperature. So in the aftercare, we go back to England, got home. Sleeping was quite difficult because you're very sore on the back of your head. But they do give you a neck pillow, which does help. Like, you have to sort of prop yourself up in order to keep your head up, so you're not putting pressure onto the wounded area, like the harvested area. So sleep is a bit of a problem for about the first month, but it gets better. But with the app as well, in the first year I followed up virtually every month, but I must admit I did miss a few of the opportunities to send pictures. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's any issue with the fact that maybe I haven't sent all the photos in, because although it gets a 30-year guarantee, I don't think these hairs will be falling out anytime soon.
And for the next question, if you could look at John 2 years ago, what's been the biggest change in you since you've had the procedure?
I'm much happier in myself. I do feel more confident, because other people I know have actually said that I look happier these days. I'm smiling a lot more, and they've said I do look better.
If you could change one thing about the whole journey, what would it be? Would you have went for it earlier if you knew about it? Would you still go through that whole period of experimenting with everything the way you did? Or
I only really decided to have a hair transplant once I got to the point that I kind of got fed up with being bald. I'd been bald for quite a while and whatnot, and then had the instance where the lady in the shop negatively reacted towards my appearance, with me not even saying a word or not even exhibiting any sort of emotion to her. She just was intimidated by my look. And I thought, well, I need to sort it out. But aside from that, I mean, in terms of the journey from getting the hair transplant and going through the entire procedures, there's nothing I could really concretely change. The only thing was the first time round, the translator was not on hand as much as I'd like to, and I found it difficult to get food on the first time. But then the second time round, I think where I didn't make a complaint, but I made a suggestion to at least get more information over to the people who aren't the more common customer, i.e. there's a lot of Germans in the clinic, obviously come from Germany, but there wasn't actually that many people speaking English, so it was more difficult to actually get an answer to something. But other than that, the second time round it was much more smooth.
And if you would give some advice to other guys out there that are going through the same thing, what would you tell them?
Well, it all depends on what stage they're at in terms of their thinning. If they're quite young and they're thinning out now, you've got to wait, I think with medical advice, wait for the thinning process to reach its natural full progression. Otherwise you might end up with a transplant which fixes it for now, but as the tide goes out with the sea, your hair will be going back and you've got perfect hair here. There may be, you end up with a big gap as it recedes further. So in another way, my hair receded to the point whereby it was pretty much fully balled out, as maybe a better way of putting it, I don't know, in order to then actually have the work put back in. As I said, I tried the drugs and the treatments, the topical things and whatnot, and I really wasn't taken aback. After about 3 months of minoxidil, come up to like just after Christmas, I sort of bite the bullet and just ring them back up, get a price, and go. I was just like, sod it, now or never, get on with it. So I did.